Going live. Really quick here. Ready?
Yep.
You guys ready? You guys ready? Good evening. Ferrysburg City Council meeting, Monday, March 21st, 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Blease,
Here.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
Here.
Councilmember Carlson,
Here.
Councilmember Montgomery,
Here.
Councilmember Sias,
Here.
Councilmember Murdoch,
Here.
Councilmember Kate.
Here.
Please stand for the invocation by Councilmember Kate.
Gracious God, we thank you for the God that you are and for the people you have called us to be. We pray now for your guidance, your leadership, your direction as we make decisions for the benefit of the people of Ferrysburg. In your name we ask it. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on. Number 5, public comments. This time on the agenda is for any citizen to direct brief comments or questions to the city council. Time for public comments will be given when an agenda item is discussed. If you have a comment or question, please raise your hand to be recognized by the mayor, and after being recognized by the mayor, please give your name and address for the record. Proceed with your comment or question. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Huff, P.O. Box 85, Ferrysburg 49409. As former mayor, I'm here tonight to share with you that I have been invited to attend a presentation and to present at Grand Valley State University for their 13th annual Historical Roundtable event. This event is going to showcase the historical marker that we have, which is the first ever for the city, and then also the QR code and the audio recording, which has created a legacy for the city of Ferrysburg and the state of Michigan, because this has never occurred at any other historical marker throughout the state. And also it's an opportunity for me to showcase our 2 students at the Career and Tech Center, and also to demonstrate the collaboration that we had with the state, with the city of Ferrysburg when I was serving as mayor, and the Ottawa County ISD. So that is upcoming. So,
Thank you. Mr. Bergman?
Thank you. Roger Bergman, 214 Washington, Grand Haven. I came this evening after quite a time that I haven't been here because of COVID. It kept on giving, as you know, and finally we can do this without masks. So I would like to give kind of a brief update on what's happening in the county. First of all, we have a search committee. As you know, we lost our administrator about, let's see, it was probably about 9 months ago. And process trying to come up with a new administrator. And as of this week, we will be interviewing interim administrator and hopefully make a decision from that. So stay tuned. Watch your news Friday. Some interesting stuff. The other thing that we're working on is we put together a task force of 21 individuals from throughout the county, from nonprofits, from municipalities, townships, cities, and various other entities that helped us determine how best to use the $56.8 million that we got in ARPA funds. So we're looking at trying to find ways to use that money for a long-term and as opposed to short-term use of it. Many counties have spent the money very quickly. We have chosen to hold off and use it throughout the county in the best way that we can. Broadband, for instance, nonprofits, or housing. Think of some of the other things that we're looking at. So those are the things. We're trying to invest those dollars for long term. We're also looking at building a new family justice center. That's something that has been able since 2015. We have our courts have determined that there's a need for another judge in the county, and you probably are aware that we recently were awarded a new judgeship in Ottawa County. So we have to increase the size of our courtrooms, need more courtrooms. But if you were to go into where the Family Justice Center is now, you would see that it's totally inadequate, it's not safe. And so the new building will be much more secure for the clients as well as the courts themselves. And then also I put on your table today the Smart 911. There's a lot of people that don't know about Smart 911. Very small percentage of residents in Ottawa County that use Smart 911. And I would encourage you all to do all you can to encourage people, in Ferrysburg, but in other areas as well, to sign up for Smart 911. Because it gives, if any of you you're with the fire department, you know that when you get a fire call, and if you have information about who's there, the people that live there, whether they have animals, it's all there, and it's on your call when you get it. The fire department gets it, or the police department, when they get that call, they know exactly what to look for. So it's a very helpful thing, and I think I would encourage Craig and anything that you guys can do to get that message out. So do you have any questions of me regarding what's happening at the county?
Roger, thank you for bringing this up again. I am a strong supporter of the Smart or Enhanced 911 system. In fact, we did, as part of our rental requirements, require that some of our rental houses have a landline that has this dedicated system, so that when we do have people that are visiting the city that do not know the addresses or the or directions, the 911 can send help to them quicker.
Yes.
So,
yeah. It's also very helpful with people that have cell phones. Works very well for cell phones. Yes, right. Any other questions?
Your Honor,
Yes.
where will the new Family Justice Center be?
It will be just north of where the administration building is now. There's a pretty good sized piece of property from the administration building north towards.
Talking West Olive?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Is family justice the new name for probate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Right now it's the probate court. Actually juvenile court is what it is. Yes.
I was reading a little bit about the interview process that you're going through. That's this Friday.
Yes.
How many other public interviews are you going to be holding besides this one? Or is this the only interview you're holding?
Yes. So if you have any questions, go to our website. You can put those questions.
were other applicants taken, or? I just found it peculiar that
Okay,
reading
so
it as a citizen.
actually, we got 36 applications. And of those 36, we interviewed, let's see, we interviewed 4, and we narrowed it down to just 1. So, yeah, it didn't.
I think it was from the
yeah,
county even, didn't say anything
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, we started the process back in October. We had a committee made up of myself. I was chair at that time.
Okay.
And then the vice chair, and then another commissioner. So there was 3 commissioners. Then we got 4 representatives from the quadrants. So Monica Verplank represented Northwest Ottawa County. And then we had 3 other ones from the other quadrants. We tried to put together a group of 7 to, ask the right questions of people that we interviewed.
One last question,
Yes,
and that is, are you running for reelection?
yes. So I announce that now.
No, that's
I'm running for reelection.
good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you're doing a fine job as chair. It's
Thank
good.
you. Any other questions?
Oh.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Any more public comment? See none, moving on. Number 6, consideration for approval of consent agenda. A, approve the March 7th, 2022 city council meeting minutes as printed.
So moved. Or?
Motion support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Number 7, new business. A, public hearing, proposed development project at Fire Barn Park, correct?
So this is time for, take public comments on the master plan and grant application for the Fire Barn Park. In your packet is a copy of the master plan. It was developed by the Recreation Commission, approved by City Council back in March of '21. Since that time, the commission has been working on what they want to do for improvements. They prioritized a list. That list is moving the pedestrian path, doing the lawn area and the parking area. In your packet also is a cost estimate for that work. It's about $360,000. Earlier this year, City Council indicated that they was interested in putting in a 50% match in that. So the resolution that's up next will indicate that we'll have the funds available to do that match. We do have the chairperson and Pam Blau here to answer any questions City Council may have. At this time, we should take public comments.
Okay,
Open the public hearing.
open public comments, 7:12 PM. Any public? Yes. Mrs. Hop.
Hi, Rebecca Hop, P.O. Box 85, Ferrysburg, 49409. I sit on the Recreation Commission, and I'm also have a very involved, lengthy background on working with grants, working with Michigan DNR and things like that. In fact, one of them was a $15 million grant project. So I do have some experience in reviewing grants and looking at what's important. I did present this, or I attempted to present this to the Rec Commission on Thursday evening, and they told me that I would just have to work with Craig with it. What I would like to do is approach the bench and share with you all of the information that were incorrect in the grant. And I know that it is not available on the city website, nor did council receive a copy of the grant, of which you would be approving tonight through the resolution. So, Your Honor, may I approach the bench?
Sure.
Okay.
Sweet.
Just to go through a few of the things, I did submit this list to the Rec Commission and also to Mr. Bessinger, and this was on Friday. And as of today, there still hasn't been an update from Ms. Blau with these requests. So I'm having a real difficult time of how council is going to be able to approve a grant without looking at accurate information. If you go through it, there's multiple typos. So obviously somebody hadn't reviewed it. And then also there's the comparison between the list that you have of cost and the items that are on the plan. There's items that are not matching. For example, page 5 of the grant shows that the trail is 8 foot wide, but the plan shows 15 foot. What is correct? Access path is 6 foot. The plan shows 9 foot. Paved parking lot, there's no mention of accessible parking. If we're trying to garner as many points as possible for being universally accessible, we need to explain how we're doing and going above and beyond just the basic ADA compliance. And then the list continues on. So I'll give you a couple minutes to review that, but I'm just not pleased with how this has unfolded. The Rec Commission last year had approved Ms. Blau, PM Blau Consulting, to write the grant, and she does have vast experience in the community. She helped with Tanglewood Park in that. I just feel that this one was just kind of put haphazardly together, trying to get it in before the April 1 date.
Okay, any more public comments on this?
Hi, Emily Sturley, 16269 Suffolk Drive. I'm also the chairperson of the Recreation. And I'd just like to address Bob's comments. We've worked really hard on this project over the last couple of years. We've been working here the last few months. This grant that we received last week was a draft. As we all know, drafts have misspellings. We still have a couple weeks to follow that up, put everything together, tie it in a nice bow, and turn it in first. We feel that we're very ready to do that. Nothing but positive feedback from the community about this project so far. We just worked really hard over the last couple of years and definitely feel like we're ready.
Any more public comment? Okay. Hearing none, we're gonna close public hearing at 7:17 p.m. Okay, moving to B, discussion. And to take action if appropriate, approve a resolution approving the submittal of a Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund MNRTF grant application for the development of a new universal accessible pathway through the park and connecting to the play area. New asphalt parking lot with ADA parking spaces and renovation of the ball field into open lawn play space.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Support.
We have motion and support. Further discussion? Jerry, you had something?
Emily, when will we be presented with a final draft? When can we expect that? Sure. Okay.
And Blau. The process does not require a draft at any time to be presented. You are approving the resolution. So generally the process is we work throughout the month collecting the letters of support come in. You've now recently renamed the trail the Edema, Flores Trail, right? Part of it. Huge support for this. That things continue to roll in, and we just keep editing. I can't think of a community in the last 8 to 20 years, 5 years, 84, that's ever asked or published a draft. That's not a requirement. So we're not violating anything in the requirements. They do ask that you have the address in there, that you have a master plan that people can view, and the opportunity to definitely ask questions. So as we just provided that, the rec committee was getting together. I was just asked to provide it. I printed off where we were that day, provided it so people could see where we were at, and to really see we're very substantially complete. Got some photos we're putting together. We're also writing up, we were working this afternoon on the narratives that go in there, and we just tuning it down. When we get to a point where we feel that we have edited, reviewed it, and got everything crammed in that we can get in there to really make your grant successful, we then turn it over to the city manager, and he has the final review and can push the button that says that you committed. In addition to that, what occurs is the grant staff then will go through that immediately. So if, like tonight, we may not, your minutes from tonight won't be fully adopted probably. And we'll then upload those updated minutes at that time. They'll let us know what's missing, if anything was missing, or they want, different reviewers want different things, but if they wanted something that they felt was administratively incorrect, there's another period of 2 weeks. Then they'll come out, they'll score your park, and they'll send out in August or September a list of some more things they'd like to ask. Doesn't mean we miss things in the necessarily. It means they'd like greater explanation. Or maybe something's changed in government or structure or opportunities. And they'll again give you about 3 weeks to respond and increase your score at that time. That's really valuable. And I'll tell you, we write grants all over the state. So we'll put in, say, environmental feature. And we'll show them in writing and we'll give them cut sheets. But some of them, that's perfect. Some of them want to see them on the drawings. I've had someone else ask me to move it onto a different drawing. So anything they'd like that makes it easier for them to read, that's what. And so your scoring in the end is really based and accumulative all the way through until November, and then they present it on the agenda for the December trust fund. So Craig did forward the email to me from the comments from Thursday night. We really haven't reopened, and we hadn't worked on in the document. We got them Friday afternoon. This afternoon we began talking about what they're not ignored. I did receive them. Craig was very prompt in getting them to, and I think the process is well. And you're getting a lot of terrific letters of support coming in that we could incorporate, try and tie those into the so I guess that's the update I can get. Happy to get specific questions, but the process is going great. About to wrap it up.
No question, Your Honor.
Okay, sure.
Thank you for all your help, Pam. Pam, I have just one question for you. If we submit tonight and are unsuccessful, does that cost us anything as far as our grant application next year?
No.
So it doesn't affect us in any way.
And a lot of people will do that because maybe you learn more in your scoring, or maybe there was something they wanted to have happen and it wasn't in there.
But we don't know if we don't try.
You don't know if you don't try. You get scoring, you'll get preliminary scoring, you get final scoring. The other thing that occurs is the amount of money is not the same every year. It's all based on the trust fund revenues. So it can be different. This year they gave out more than often. There are also a lot of discussion going on right now of how they're going to It's in discussion right now and through both legislature, working in on that to figure out how are they going to ask for applications, how are they going to score. I had a conversation at a conference and with them, they're looking, will it be the same application but a different box, or so just think about that as well. I think it's very important right now to be in for a grant because I think you're lining yourself up not only for opportunities. I think, the real focus we are focusing a lot on in the application is routing of the pathway as well as the new parking lot. And the parking lot, you really are at the intersection of two fabulous trails. You have the US Bike Route 35 and the North Shore Pathway, which you've now also connected that to the regional FEMA trail system. So that's very exciting, and that's how to score. And that is really what in the end is we need is focus on scoring and how we can do that. Then as we continue to develop the park, then we can same grant source or we different sources, programs, what matches. Long answer, I'm sorry.
But, Your Honor, I just want to mention, this first phase isn't super exciting, but it's necessary, right? It's building the infrastructure to move on. It's adding that parking lot, which pushes us closer to our ADA compliance goal that we have as a city council that we've deemed as important. And it also, probably the most important piece, is it reroutes that bike path. Like Pam said, it's an intersection of two bike paths that have been very busy. And right now it's crossing right in front of the fire station. All it takes is one time for, an accident to happen. I know our firefighters pay attention. I know they're vigilant, but it's a blind intersection there that they're pulling out on. And Your Honor, you of all people biking like you do know that you can not be seen very easily. We got to do everything we can, I think, to get this bike path moved, and I think this grant is our best opportunity to do it without costing our taxpayers more money.
Okay, further? Okay, sure.
Pam, how long have you been working on this proposal?
We started in January.
Okay. 3 months?
The
roughly?
grant applications generally come out in January. We know it's coming ahead of time. The Recreation Committee's been working for about a year on it, but yet the applications themselves really don't come out until January with the updated instructions and what are key things they're going to look for the year and things of that nature. We find focusing on them very hard is a way to really get the continuity and the story together. It's not just about filling in the box. It's really about figuring out the message we want to tell and how we can focus on the goals of the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund. They have very specific goals, and they have chosen ways they want to award points. I may or may not agree with how they've chosen to do that, or a lot of other people, but they're set that way. So we have to take advantage of the things we take. You don't get points for being a major metropolitan city, right? You're not Grand Rapids, right? There are other things. This one. Trails and that certainly doesn't downplay the fact that this will also create a really beautiful play lawn, right? I mean, drive up and have this beautiful lawn just to play on. You've got a playground. This pathway provides universal accessibility from the parking lot to that play area. It also divides the traffic out. We have emergency car traffic in one area. park traffic in another area to try and facilitate the different uses. Haven't asked me, but I will state too, you'll find that we have to provide property documentation that you own the property descriptions like that, but we are showing the fire station actually excerpted from that, so that when you come time to sign the grant agreement, that we are not blindly taking the building that the fire station is and putting it under perpetuity of the health. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that we work on that take a lot of time to just assemble the documents. I send Craig a list. Oh, I need these 2, 3 things, and he'll send back, let me find that deed and that. So it just takes a lot of gathering to get all the pieces and to put the different types of forms together. We have to fill out a form called the Notice of Intent to Submit, and that has to go and be transmitted to county and regional planning. And then we have to put documentation that we've done that. We have to put documentation in. We've contacted the different permitting, soil erosion and sedimentation control, different things like that. And so we're making contact with people, and then we're getting a lot of those responses back in, organized, correct form. All of the grant is online. So again, that's why we have to collect it all, then we have to fill it in the box and upload that. We have to attach all these attachments, upload all of that. So it's constant. We touch it. Usually, touching it somehow and document, organize.
Yes. More
Your Honor.
question, Tim?
I guess I'm not the only one on council probably that's a little confused as to with the data that Rebecca Hopp has generated here, and I don't know who to ask about what's the concern, and if there's valid concerns there about moving forward tonight. I don't know who would be the right person to ask. I mean, you put a lot of work into this, and yeah. I'd just like some clarification.
So council's not really approving the grant. They're approving submitting a grant for these improvements at Fire Barn Park.
Okay.
So you're approving that pedestrian path, the parking lot, and the lawn area is what the next improvements are gonna be at Fire Barn Park, and that the city council is willing to pay half of that cost.
Which, Your Honor, just so everybody knows, we've had quite a popular following in the community. We've actually raised quite a bit of money already. So, Craig, are we at 20? So we were offered a match of, was it 25, Craig? $25,000. So we can raise $25,000 and they'll match that. We've also had a couple other miscellaneous donations as well. So I mean, we're on our way to, raising money with the community. Is obviously important to the community, and it's pretty exciting to finally see the wheels moving and getting progress on this, because the Rec Commission's been working on it for quite a while.
Tim, you had further?
Yes, I think, expand on Councilmember Carlson's concerns here. I'm looking at the resolution, and right on the bottom it says, be it further resolved that the city council does hereby acknowledge a 50% match will be available for funding 50% of the total project cost. That right there, unless we put a specific amount on that, that could put us into quite a bit of money. I know the I mean, it could put us in a little bit of money. If they gave us $100,000, we do 50,000. If they gave us a $500,000, that would put us on the block for 250,000. So just in that alone is one of my concerns. The other one is, I'm sorry, before I vote on something, I need a copy of what I'm going to vote on. Not just, we're going to apply, this is what the information, we're going to put whatever information is in there. And I put my name on it as a member of the council that, yep, I approve that. And
That's fine,
because,
but
this
nobody
this
expressed
had,
that to us.
well, this
when
should be,
We're retained for services, so we are operating as we normally operate.
okay.
We cannot submit it without the city manager's authority. He has to give the last okay. He can choose to do that or not do that at the time that it's done. But quite frankly, I wasn't even informed of everything tonight either, and that's okay, because we're operating in our office as we do for everyone, for all the grants that we do. We have not had an unsuccessful event regarding your concerns tonight, because you will get even another chance to decide whether or not you want the grant, because you're submitting tonight saying, yeah, you'd really like to be seriously considered for this grant, and if so, we know that the grant is being submitted for $360,000, so that half of that would be $180,000. They will meet with the trust fund in December, and if you are selected, there's then another time for the grant agreement to come, and you can review it again, and you can at that point decide whether to accept it or not. You'll have another choice.
Okay, right there is exactly the point that I was making when you said the grant is for $360,000. That means that our matching would be $180,000. We have not approved that money yet. And if we were to vote on that tonight, then that is tying our hands when we look at our city budget, that we would have to come up with that $180,000.
We talked about that $180,000.
I know we talked about it. I know it's been talked about, but it has not been approved by the city council to spend that $180,000. And as you have pointed out in the past, we need to be very conscientious about the money that we spend that belongs to the people of the city. And to say now, commit ourselves before we've even had a discussion on our future budget, that part of that budget is going to be $180,000, I don't think is appropriate at this time. The $125,000, don't remember when we voted on that to approve that. It probably went through with the budget or something, and I don't remember everything that we do. But I also found out that $125,000 is not renewable. That's money that's in the fund for the recreation department. Once it's spent, it's gone. It's not an annual budget line item amount of money.
Well, it's money we budgeted in the past, is it not, Craig?
$125,000 is budgeted. It's not in the recreation budget. It's in the public improvement fund, where city council will designate that money for a grant.
Correct.
That's what we'll do in the 22-23 budget. We'll designate $180,000 for a local match grant.
Right. But we're saying tonight that if we file that grant, that's committing this council to approving $180,000 in the future budget. And I have not had adequate time to go through the upcoming budget to see if that extra, $60,000, $55,000, is something that we can afford to do at this time. I see, see, you said you're not going to show us the grant, and this is the type of thing I want to see. Is there money in there? What are we committing to? 50% of $360,000, we're committing ourselves to $180,000. We pass this grant request application, our hands are tied.
Well, they're not.
Well,
We'll
they-
have to approve it, that we accept it,
Right.
and we're gonna spend the money.
But it's, if we don't do it, then we've just wasted a whole lot of time.
Your Honor.
And the other thing is, I'm sorry, when you submit a grant request, there shouldn't be this many errors in it. I write reports, I write reports I write reports every day that are submitted to the state. And my reports have to be, they can't have typos in it.
I'm
It can't-
sorry for the misunderstanding.
Please,
It's not gonna be submitted that way. It's far from being submitted that way. We have 2 more weeks. We are working on this to get this together.
well,
And it was a work session that went into the rec committee. They wanted to see how far we were. I just printed it off.
okay. If any professional person that goes out and puts something out there, they should have at least a minimal amount of errors. And this is, to me, is an unacceptable amount of errors in a report that we're going to be submitting to.
But this wasn't put out there.
But you have to also
You're
understand,
asking us
not
to
all
approve
of
it.
those are errors. Some of they were referenced are categories. You have to take the cost estimate. And the DNR isn't interested in the cost estimate like we provide where we itemize things out. They are about quantifying things. So if we're putting in a bike rack, they want to say 1 bike rack. They want everything lumped into like the parking lot. Okay, we don't do grading, we don't put down bumper blocks, we don't put down all these pieces. That's not what that's about. And then they'll say the pathway is between 8 to like 15 feet. So it's not that we picked that it was 8 feet. And we go back through that as well, but these categories are not, they're ranges of things, and we pick those categories and you fill in between them. And that's what happens within the form online.
Right, but if this has to be submitted by April 1st, we're not gonna be meeting again before April 1st. And so that application's going in, we have no idea what is in that, other than the 180,000, which commits us.
That's your choice. That's your choice.
Like I said, I'm not willing to commit to spending the extra $150,000 without taking a look at, is that best for what's for the city. This project, I love this project. Okay, I want that out there. I love the project. I want to see it go forward through it. The Michigan Municipal League has an award for cities that do projects like this, and I would love to see us be considered or even, winning that award. That would be a great prestigious occasion for our city. That's why I want this to go in perfect. As perfect as we can get it. Now, they can come back and say, okay, we want you to tweak it here, tweak it there. That's great. That's fine. That's expected. Anytime you do a report like that. But I'm not gonna put my name to something that I don't know what's in it, or commit myself to something that of this matter, yes.
I wanted to say that Pam's a professional, and we chose her for a reason as a rec, that she could get this grant turned in, done this many times before for many. Fully trust that she's capable of doing it. I also wanted to, we've worked really hard, the whole rec commission, approach members of the community and ask for letters of support. I just wanted to name off a few gotten letters from for this project. We have a letter of support from Scott Grimes, Superintendent of Grand Haven Public School, 4 Point Center for Successful Aging, letter from At Home Realty, letter from Nora, North Ottawa. We have a letter from Perry Post Coleman. We have a support letter from Ottawa. We have a support letter from Gracious Grounds. We had a really nice support letter from Leppings, and also a great letter from the fire chief supporting all our improvements. So all these will be submitted along with the grant group. So again, we've had a ton of community support. I fully trust Pam to get this for us by April 1st. Thank you.
Rich, you had something? Tim, were you done?
Yes.
Okay. Rich, you had something? Comment?
I just wanted to know, in terms of commitment that Councilman O'Donnell is talking about, is this a binding agreement that we'd be making tonight, or can we refuse the grant once it's awarded to us? We can say, no, we're not interested. Things have changed. So we've got exit ramps, correct? Even after the grant is awarded, we can say, hey, financing has changed, sorry. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Craig, when we do grants through the city, does city council approve all grants, and are we showing the whole shoot and match to approve it, that we accept it?
So I think the last grant the city did was for the build a bridge in, for Smith's Bridge.
Yes.
And I believe you did get a copy of that.
Okay. And in this case, we would be getting a copy of the grant as well to approve, to review.
No,
We would not.
no. This is the intent that we're gonna submit a grant.
So, difference between the bridge and this, what's going on?
I think with the build a bridge, I'm not sure if you got the whole thing or not, or you got a draft of it. I would have to go back through my notes. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we received a, the one I'm thinking of is for Sue Tebby for Williams and Works. And that was like a 150-page document with.
Yes.
Just to let everyone know, this is the money that we're applying for through the grant is a trust fund that has been there for many years, and there's a lot of money in that grant. And I'm sure it's going to be there for years to come, because I have proposed in the past that we put out a grant for that, and it was turned down for a particular issue or item. Anything that we put out there, I want it to be number one, best foot forward when we put it out there. Ferrysburg is no slouch, and we're going to put out the best we have.
Your Honor, I agree. I think we need to put out the best piece that we can. We hired Pam and her firm to do that. I'm confident that we will have a quality piece when we submit it, but it comes down to this is the safety of our residents, and we don't lose anything for submitting, right? We don't get it if we don't submit. There's a chance we get it if we submit, but I don't want that safety issue on my conscience.
Right. And I don't think that's the issue. I think we're agreeing on, yes, it's a good project. Yes, we want to submit the grant, but yes, we want it to be accurate, updated, and with no errors. So I guess that's the consensus I see here. what Pam said is that she'll send the updated, corrected final version to Craig. So the question for council is, do we leave it up to Craig to make sure the final grant has been corrected and updated for us before it's actually submitted on the 1st of April?
I'm confident in Craig's abilities.
Tim, I know that's your concern too, is you want to make sure this is sent in correctly so we have a good chance to receive the grant.
That's correct. But once we approve this, we have no control over it. As far as it's already been approved, it's going forward. I see this as the Congress did the same thing with the particular issue a few years back. You have to vote for it in order to find out what's in it, and we all know how well that particular issue worked out. I like to, again, see what I'm voting for. I like to make sure I'm voting for everything's.
Okay. Any other comments? Any other discussion here? Yes.
Rebecca Happ, P.O. Box 85, Ferrysburg, 49409. This is the first time that the city of Ferrysburg will be ever applying for this grant. And yes, Craig has done grants in the past and has been very successful with some of those. But as a resident and also a member of the Recreation Commission, I believe the Recreation Commission needs to have an opportunity to review the final grant before it's submitted. With my background, I think it can be a great asset to finding these errors. If there are any that do arise, then we can catch them before they get submitted. With the DNR Trust grant, you want to garner every point possible. So maybe a word structure in a sentence, if it got changed, we could garner more points in that narrative. You need to make the narratives read very well and to highlight the importance of this park and how amazing that this park will be. So I would like to see council enact or put a motion out there that the Recreation Commission will have an opportunity to review the final grant before it is submitted. And I understand that it's electronic, but there's ways that you can do cut and paste and you can make things viable that way. Thank you.
Your Honor, I'll just point out that Craig's been pretty good at sending the Rec Commission all of the documents that he gets, so I'm confident. And Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, but would you have any issues with sending the Rec Commission an email of this when you get it for approval?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, any further discussion? So Craig's gonna get the final copy of the grant application, send it to the rec committee.
Yeah, council.
And could you send it to council also? You guys wanna look at it before Craig sends it in? Okay, well, let's do a roll call vote on this. Jesse? Hello?
Councilmember O'Donnell? Councilmember Carlson?
Yes.
Councilmember Montgomery?
Yes.
Councilmember Sias?
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch?
Yes.
Councilmember Kate?
Yes.
Mayor Blease?
A yes.
Okay, so we have 6 to 1.
Okay, Motion passed. Moving on, number E, discussion and to take action if appropriate to approve a proposal from Flees and Vandenbrink Engineering, Inc. for $4,400 for 2022 city bridge inspection services.
Your Honor, I'll move to approve the proposal in place of Van Brink Engineering for $4,400 for 2022 city bridge inspection services.
Or,
Okay, motion support. Any further discussion?
Question, Your Honor.
Yes.
Is this firm the only one that does this sort of work?
No, this is the firm that's done the last 3 or 4 years of inspections. This is the same price that they quoted last year. There's $200 more for concrete removal this year over last year.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
The reason I moved to approve this was because they have been doing it for the last several years, and this would just make the continuity of the inspection continued.
Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Okay, D, introduction of ordinance number 320. Ordinance to amend the city code by amending chapter 154 zoning to amend section 2.20 and 3.20B1 to measure waterfront setbacks from the ordinary high water mark and to define the term. This is just an introduction, so Craig, what's going on with this thing?
So in your packet is some information, the draft ordinance. On the very last page of the packet is the current procedure to calculate the rear yard advantage or rear yard setback on a waterfront property. We had a case where went to the zoning board of appeals to get a variance. After the board meeting, the ZBA asked the planning commission to review it. And so the planning commission took a couple meetings and looked at the rear yard averaging on waterfront properties. And what they'd like to change, instead of using the property line, use the ordinary high water mark. That mark is defined by law, and the thought would be that this would give a more even placement of homes on waterfront property.
Okay, so the planning commission looked at it, looked at all the verbiage, okay with it?
Yes, planning commission is in support of it.
Okay,
We spent a lot of time on it because it's quite complicated.
it does look pretty tricky.
I'm glad Craig did such a concise explanation of it rather than myself.
Your property's underwater.
Yeah, exactly.
Tim, you had something?
I was just gonna say that this is definitely something that's been needed because a lot of people are wondering where their property lines are when it comes to the water levels. And
Yes.
the high water mark is used by people sailing vessels. It's pretty standard around the nation, around the world. So I'm glad they went this way.
Okay, anybody have any discussion on this? It's just an introduction, so we don't have to vote on it. Okay, Craig, you'll put it on the next agenda possibly for action item? Okay. Moving down, E, discussion, take action if appropriate, approve, not approve, $7,319.70 surcharge to purchase the 2023 Peterbilt 348 chassis. Looks like we're getting the big runaround for a new truck.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm gonna make a motion to disapprove this $7,319.70 surcharge to purchase a 2023 Peterbilt 348 chassis.
Okay, there's a motion to not approve it. Any support?
Support.
Okay, motion and support. So let's discuss this and see what's going on.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I look at this, you're right, we are getting a runaround. In 2020, we approved the purchase of a new truck, and they said, well, sorry, due to supplies, we don't have it, you're gonna have to go with a 2023 or nothing. Okay, so we decided to go with a 2023 and approve with an additional surcharge or an upgrade of over $9,000, which pushed this vehicle to almost $100,000. Now they come back and say, well, before we're going to work on this vehicle, we need another $7,319.70 to work on your vehicle. What I'm seeing is they're looking and saying, hey, cities are getting money to spend on projects from the federal government. We want a piece of that pie. And so we're just going to say, sorry, you need to, we got this surcharge, we're going to blame it on the cost and materials, which is very easy to do. Nothing to really prove that there is an additional surcharge or cost in prices. My recommendation is twofold. Either I would like to see us send a letter to them saying, please honor our contract that was approved this last year. Any surcharges or anything should have been added at that time. We know that there were surcharges and upgrade, massive increase in price, went from $79,000, now we're looking at almost $109,000, almost $30,000 more for a vehicle that we should have gotten 2 years ago. And there's nothing to keep them from coming down, starting the vehicle and saying in a couple months going, oh, we need some more money because of the increase in costs for the war effort, because of the war, or some other excuse. And I'm quite frankly getting a little upset with people coming out and saying, well, we're going to charge you more for this surcharge. We could take that $100,000 and upgrade our pickup trucks. Greg, don't we have pickup trucks that have plows on them, or are plow adaptable? We can put plows on.
They're all for snow plowing.
Okay, so it's not like we have to have this truck right now. We've had some pretty mild winters, and the International, even though it does need to be replaced, I agree with that. We need to stop letting people, I see this as an unreasonable request at this time.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Craig, this fits what year purchase in our motor pool plan? 2021 purchase? Because we were supposed to get it in August.
Correct.
So let's get it last August.
Right.
So actually, this truck is going to be in a 2022 purchase, or potentially 2023. They're not starting production until September or May, I guess?
May, correct. So I'm not sure if we would have delivery before the end of this fiscal year or sometime next fiscal year.
So are you looking at changing the scheduling of our scheduled purchases out of our motor pool fund?
So typically we replace a dump truck. We use the dump trucks for snow plowing. We don't use pickup trucks for plowing streets. But we replace the dump trucks on a scheduled 10-year rotation. And so this is something that all the communities in around the state that I've talked to are having the same issue, where they're not be able to get vehicles. If they're buying used vehicles just for police cars because they can't get vehicles. It's just not us that's being affected by this.
Yeah, and frankly, I'm surprised that they're willing to commit to a firm price, because so many times now you go ahead and order something and you have a quote. Well, that's great, but at time of delivery, here's your adjustment. You know, when they invoice you, here's your final price. Everything is so up in the air right now in terms of deliveries and for cost of materials. I think that we should stay on schedule for this, even at the raised price, to make sure that we get ourselves a new truck. if they're willing to make agreement to have something in May, and it fits in our purchase plan, even though that's been pushed back or pushed forward now into, what, 2023 potentially?
Your Honor, I'll just add, just with my personal career, we can't get big trucks for work, right? They're behind all these, the manufacturers are behind, the upfitters are behind, everybody is just behind on all these orders. It's just a crazy time for trucks right now. So this doesn't really surprise me. I don't think that, I think that there's a pretty accurate statement. And I think that we're at risk of paying more and waiting quite a bit longer if we don't go with this. Craig, you're saying that we have the money for this? Okay. And it was 91,999 originally, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it's about a 10% increase.
Plus another 7,000.
Right, correct. Okay.
Yes.
We do, Craig, the international is still working, right? Okay. And it can, we have, I know we have pushed back the purchase of the fire truck because we were supposed to get a new fire truck last year or the year before, something like that. And that's been extended out a couple years. So it's not like we have to have this right now. We did get a quote. We agreed on a price, and I think they should honor their agreement that we signed, the contract.
Anybody else? Yeah, I think we're stuck, man. We're in a tough spot because, yeah, we wanted the old price, but it looks like we're not going to get the old price. But, yeah, I don't know. How long do you think our international truck would last, Craig? Can it make it another year or so, or what?
Yeah, we can push it out and do, maintain it, try to get as much life as we can out of it. If we don't do this truck here, we have to come back to the city council with another bid, and we're gonna be put on the waiting list again, so it's gonna probably be another.
It could be 2025, 2026 by the time we get it.
And or it'd be a lot more money. That's
Right.
my fear. It's gonna be more money. We don't wanna be more money.
Right. And right now we're in the queue to get it.
That's why I said we're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
We're in a bad position either way. We're in a no-win. It's, yeah. But, yep. There's a motion of support to not support it. So we have to vote on that first. So,
Your Honor, this motion is to turn it down. Can we do
Yes.
a roll call vote?
okay, let's do a roll call. The motion is to not support it,
So a yes vote is for,
to not support.
oh, yes.
A yes,
No.
a yes vote
The
is
yeah-
to turn it
yeah.
down.
The motion's to not support it.
Right, so a yes vote is to support the motion.
Yes. To support the motion to not support it. So we gotta vote on that first. You guys have it. Okay.
A yes,
the-
a yes vote is supporting his motion to turn down.
So we went
Yeah,
yes or no.
this is
You
to
wanna turn
not
it down.
support it. This is to not support it. We have to vote on that first, to not support it. The purchase.
We good?
You guys got it? Before we do a
Everybody's
roll
following.
call?
Yes
Yeah.
means no.
Right, yeah, yeah. No means yes.
So if you vote yes, it means to not support it.
Councilmember Sias,
No.
Councilmember Carlson,
No.
Councilmember Murdoch, Councilmember Montgomery,
No.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilmember Kate,
Yes.
Mayor Blease,
I'm a no. So that failed.
Your Honor, can I make a motion to approve a $7,319.70 surcharge to purchase the 2023 Peterbilt 348 chassis?
Yes, there's a motion. Any support?
Support.
Motion support. Any further discussion on this? Now, I kind of like Tim's idea of seeing if they would honor the price without the additional surcharge of $7,300. Do we have any other options, Craig? Is there another Peterbilt dealer anywhere? Or is this
This is
the
going through,
guy?
this is going through the My Deal, where it's a state contract.
Okay,
for
so
the
we get
Peterbilt.
special pricing for state
That's correct.
government entities. I mean, would it be worth it to check to see if they wouldn't have to charge us that surcharge, or what do you think of the odds of them? Yes or no?
I think
That's
they got
it.
so much business that they got backed up. That
Doesn't
they're not-
matter.
No. Would they just go
You're
on
in
to
a-
the next municipality?
And they'd say, you're out of luck. Because there's no inventory. That's the issue, no inventory. Okay. All right, let's do a roll call. This is to approve the motion to add the surcharge. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carlson,
Yes.
Councilmember Murdoch, Councilmember Montgomery,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Donnell,
No.
Councilmember Kate,
No.
Councilmember Sias,
Yes.
Mayor Blease.
I'm gonna do yes.
We have 5-2.
Okay, motion passed. Moving on. Okay, F, discussion, take action if appropriate, to approve a 5-year street sweeping contract with Sandy Sweep Inc. for street sweeping payment for 2022, $14,400. Looks like there was 2 bids. They were the low one, and Craig, we've used them before. Happy with their service?
Correct.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that we move to approve the Sandy Sweet proposal for 5 years for $14,400.
Okay,
To clarify, that's 14,000 each year.
Per year, correct. Sorry.
per year? Okay.
And we're locked in for those 5 years, Craig? They can't raise the prices?
They got that little asterisk down in the last paragraph where they're talking about depending on market inflation on hourly rates.
Oh. Oh. Yes, sir.
All right,
So-
I'll support.
Okay, motion support, further discussion.
Craig, we don't have a street sweeper, do we?
Not-
DPW doesn't?
We've looked at, contracting with another community that has one, but they run theirs every
Yeah.
day they were working.
I'm just curious, what is the cost of a piece of equipment like that, Craig? Have you guys priced that out in the past?
Yeah, a couple $100,000.
Me and Bill would do it for half that price.
Let's put it on the dump truck.
We can put a broom on the dump.
Well, 14 grand sounds pretty good.
Okay, any further discussion?
Question,
Yes.
why is the first sweep more mileage than the others?
We'll do major and local streets on the first sweep, and then the rest of the time we just do the major streets.
Okay.
Okay, further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, moving on. G, work session, burning ordinance. Looks like there's some information in your packet. The chief had a little email in there. So let's, I guess, talk about what we can do with this burning ordinance, because it looks like the chief said there's not any good answers.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Having had multiple discussions with the chief on this issue and having responded on numerous burning complaints, actually the ordinance is pretty straightforward. And it's pretty consistent with the surrounding areas. However, there is some gray areas in there. The last burning complaint that I went on, the person was burning pallets, and his excuse for burning the pallets was, well, the city does it, why can't I? And I see the city of, or the village of Spring Lake has put in there the exemption for council approved or board approved activities, and perhaps just adding that to the ordinance for an exemption to the burning. The other thing is the definition of a bonfire. It's not in there specifically. It kind of in parts, but perhaps if we added something along the line of fire in a 3 foot or less and 2 foot or less high encased area with dead dry wood. And the reason I put the dead dry wood in there is because most smoke that you see is because of the moisture that is being superheated by the fire. And freshly cut limbs have water and sap in them, and they will put out a lot of smoke. Also, trash does it, oil does it. So non-manufactured products. The only non-manufactured product that you could use out there would be dry dead wood. 2x4s are manufactured. Pallets are manufactured. You got oil that mixes in with the grease. There's resins that are in plywood. Also, another problem we've had in the past is people like to light fires on very windy days. We have responded to places where they had no extinguishing agent, no way to extinguish the fire. So I'd like to see that put in there, so that the bonfire with the 3 foot dead dry wood, type of wood that you would see on the side of the road that says firewood. No more than a foot or two long, that would be contained in that 3 foot or less container. With a wind less than, you can say 7 miles per hour, which is in the believe Spring Lakes ordinance, and only using lighter fluid as a chemical starter or accelerant. And then putting in there the city is exempt, or the exceptions may be made for city council approved activities, which every year by the council, so that would be would meet that requirement. That's my input for now. If you got any.
Your Honor, who wrote this draft?
This is our current ordinance, it looks like.
Well, there's a draft on it.
It's a current one.
Okay.
Oh, this is the current, yeah, this is our current one, and then there's two examples. One from the Village
Village of
Spring
Spring
Lake,
Lake.
one from Spring Lake Township. So what their ordinances read regarding burning. I think I agree with a lot what Tim says, cause the fire chief said, yeah, it's not good to have, burning in any high winds. So yeah, we should probably put something in there that talks about that. Then also, the fire starters, flammable liquids to start it. Probably put something in there.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'd be in favor of, having planning commission taking a look at this and making a recommendation to council.
That would be acceptable.
Okay.
I like to include the planning commission, especially with our ordinances, and they can take a little bit more in depth, because there was a lot of information in here to absorb. But just, I was just putting in my 2 cents worth from having been, on scene. Ouch, one night.
Gee.
So,
And I know Spring Lakes, Tim, you brought up that we're asked that why the city burns pallets, so we would be covered, according to Spring Lakes, because the recreational bonfire is sponsored by the city.
Okay, any other discussions or comments about this? We decide, is it okay, we'll send it over to the planning commission, and then they can look at it, and then we'll get it back after they review it. Sound good? Okay. Let's move on. Work session 2022-2023, city budget. Craig's got a big presentation for us. Hope it's short.
So this screen here shows that what we're projecting to buy out of the motorized equipment millage. We're starting to save money up for the pumper replacement in 25-26. The estimated cost of that is $650,000. We'll pay for part of the police car. The Public Works is going to put in their budget to replace the 2012 pickup. And then the brush chipper is a 2001. And it gets a lot of use, and we're going to try to replace that this year. So this is the millage that we would get from motorized equipment millage. We actually, at June 30th of 2021, we had $280,000 in there. We're estimating that it's going to be about $360,000 at June 30th, 2022. And then we're going to look at the chipper, the pickup, the dump truck, and the police car. We'll bring it down to about $124,000. We get down there at about 25, 26 that we see where we're buying the pumper at $650,000. We're going to be in the hole a little bit. So hopefully our revenues will go up a little bit more than what we're projecting, and prices will be down a little bit than what we're projecting. This is the general fund. Nothing major in there, just some money in there for city hall improvements. If something happens, we got some money to do that. Building improvements, we might try to do a little more landscaping outside. We pay for the server hosting from Ottawa County, BSNA support for our software, maybe another printer. Fire department, they're budgeting $22,600 for new equipment. They're going to start replacing their pagers for over the next 3 years. Those are $3,600 each year. We're planning for that. The basketball court and tennis courts at Coast Guard Park are getting cracked, and we've had them sealed before, and it just doesn't hold up. And so we're looking about resurfacing those 2 courts. And then on the bottom there, we see we're going to budget $180,000 for the grant that is going to be submitted April 1st. These are the street projects for 22-23. Oops. 22-23 in this column here. We got Dogwood Drive, 4th Street. We've been putting some money away for Smiths Bridge, Roosevelt Road, Virginia. we're looking with the residents on Lake Road, which is a private street, if we can, they've been petitioning the city to repave that and pay the city back over a period of time. We're looking at that. Kayak launch, city council talked about doing something like that at William Ferry Park when we do the seawall. And the roof at the garage needs to be replaced. And then the bottom there is the, debt service on the bike path bond. We got two more payments on that, and then the seawall at William Ferry Park. Public Improvement Fund, June 30th, 2021, we had about $570,000 in there. We're estimating at June 22, we're gonna have about $780,000 in there. We're gonna get some revenue, and then we have some expenses that we're planning on pulling out of that fund. Hopefully the top 4 lines will be a little higher than what's projected, and the bottom lines will be less than what we're projecting. If not, we're gonna not do everything that's on that list. Sewer fund, really all we got in there is the first 3 line items is some debt that we have on the bonds for sewer improvements that were made back in 2017-18. Lift station 1, we're looking at doing some repairs, upgrades on there. We put a number of $70,000 in there as a placeholder for that work. And that's something that other communities, Spring Lake Township would be paying for part of those. So we figure our share would be about half of that, about $70,000 for that work. Waterfront, we really have nothing planned for 22-23. We're sitting pretty good in our water system. Right now, we're just going to budget some money for the debt payments. Building permits, last year we had 9 building permits. That compares to 5 the year before and 7 in 2019. So far, nothing this year. Just a reminder, when we do the Dogwood Drive project, we're going to replace that sidewalk with a pedestrian path. So we're still on schedule to get that done. And again, that project will go out for bid the first week in May. 2 big elections coming up this year, the August primary, the governor election in November. Supplies and salary, we're going to budget about $20,000 for those 2 elections. This is the capital improvement plan that was put together. The highlighted items are items that have been completed. 22, we have West Spring Lake Road in Virginia reconstruct. We're planning on working on Virginia Avenue depending on funding. West Spring Lake Road has got pushed back a little bit. We want to work on Roosevelt Road to help with the traffic over there with the charter school. The sewer storm point repairs, the sanitary manhole repairs. Those guys are working on doing that as time permits, so they're chipping away at those projects as well. This is when we had the Spring Lake Ferrysburg Police. The department got disbanded, but we're still responsible for the pension. You can see in 2019, we were at 66% funded. At December of 2020, we went up a little bit to 67%. So we won't get the 21 numbers until sometime in June, and those will take effect for July of 2023. So you can see our contributions are going to go down a little bit because we were a little bit more funded. So it's going down about $150 at the 9181. And so the contract for the sheriff's department is about $560,000, and pensions about $56,000. So we'll put a number in there about $625,000 for the police department this year. This is the city's pension plan, the defined pension plan. These are the percentages that are funded. 2019 it was 68%. Last year in 2020, December, it was at 70%. As a reminder that this plan got closed in 2014, so all new hires are on a DC plan. With it being funded a little bit more, our contribution will go down about $25. As you can see, that we have 5 people contributing to that plan, and when the 21 numbers come out, you'll see that go down to 4.
Right. Now, both those are just legacy costs. We're out of both of those plans.
That's
To
correct.
clarify, correct?
That's correct. Couple things we're looking at. We have to do a new chart of accounts. The state adopted a new chart of accounts. So we're gonna have to start working on changing our current accounts over to the new chart of accounts. I've asked the auditor to assist with that project, so that will probably take some time. I'm not sure we'll get done this fiscal year or beginning of next fiscal year. New hire, Public Works Department, we're probably looking at some retirements sometime in the near future. So we want to get someone in here to get trained before that person retires. And we've talked to the fire chief and the public works supervisor. What we're going to propose is that we have hire a public works department and have them train as a first responder, so that someone in the city can be responding to medicals and fires or whatever the emergency is during the day. We just don't have anybody on the fire department really that, you know, Tim lives in the city, the fire chief lives in the city, but they're not always in the city during the day. If we have a public works department that's trained, that they'll be able to respond to that. So we're looking at doing that. Just as a reminder, the taxable value for inflation last year was up 3.3%. So everybody's taxable value this year will go up 3.3%, which is probably the biggest jump in a number of years. So when people get their tax bills, there might be a little surprise. The second surprise they get is the street millage was approved by city or the city residents last year, and so that will start to be levied next year. So when people get their summer tax bill, we expect to get a few calls because of the increase in the taxable value, plus being the street millage levied for the first year. Proposed wage increase. Typically, the city has stayed pretty close to what the tax or CPI was for the previous year. As mentioned, it was 3.3%. With inflation going the way it is right now, we're going to propose a 4% increase. And just as a reminder, sometime in the near future, the MML is going to start the wage study that City Council approved last fall. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with the wage study, how much we're out of line or anything like that, but we might have a little cushion in the budget to make some adjustments once we get that report back. So this is the Public Act 152, where an employer can only pay so much for health insurance. So up there, well, I'm sorry. The top line is $102,000. That's the most that the city can pay for that. The second column is what is actually being paid, the monthly payment, so forth. Right now, the employees are contributing 15%. Gives us that number there. So we're over the hard cap about $2,043. So this is a time where City Council can provide some feedback if they want to go to have an employee pay the 20% on the premium and keep under the hard cap, or opt out of PA 152. Ever since the PA 152 has been in effect, the City Council has opted out of that. Interested in doing that again this year, or?
Yeah, I think, yeah, our employees need some good coverage, and 15% I think is reasonable for them. 20% is a little steep.
Do it in the upcoming budget. Gas oil separator, you probably saw that in this year's budget. We're working on trying to get that project going, and it's just taking a little longer than we expected. So we'll carry that number over into the new budget. Workplace circle drain assessment. We thought we'd see some work done this spring on that. We haven't seen anything come through yet. We're estimating the city cost is going to be about $40,000. And then with the new chart of accounts, and the auditors are pushing the city to get some payroll software. So for instance, every time Jesse does a something that is a clerk function. She would charge her time to a clerk department. She was working on treasury, she would charge her time to treasury. She was working on water, she would charge her time to water. So things that might change a little bit when we get that payroll software. And we got a quote and it's about $21,000.
That include direct deposit, Craig?
Direct deposit or
Payroll? Checks?
yes, we have that now.
Are we doing our own payroll now in-house, or we have an ADP or some paychecks or
ADP
something?
does it.
And we'll be ending that?
Probably.
Will this software allow us to do our own payroll, is that
It would
correct?
allow us to do our own saving. Basically, the auditors want us to get it started on this at first to do the timesheets. So we're charging our time to the correct department. And then once we get into that a little bit, then we'll probably take over the payroll function. The screen's a little hard to see, but this is the water fund. When we had the SAW grant a couple of years back, they did a cash flow analysis for us. And on the very top line, you can see that they're projecting a 2% increase, that we should raise our rates 2% every year to do what we need to do to get these balances and to do the improvements that are outlined in the capital improvement project.
Craig, could you give a quick explanation about the SAW grant, please?
Sure. The SAW grant was something that the city got. It was around $650,000, and they came in and they did, looked at our sanitary sewer, our storm sewers, our streets, and put together an analysis of what needs to be replaced, when it needs to be replaced, risk of failure, and so forth like that. And out of that, they generated a number of reports, such as this cash flow analysis, the capital improvement plan that the city were trying to stick by to do these improvements and pay for them as time comes. Again, this is the sewer fund. They're projecting a 2% increase in weight and the charges every year to do the things that we need to do. As you remember on the water fund, the previous slide, we did a number of projects over the last 3 years. We did the second main water main extension. We did the Jordan Pepper Mill. We did underneath Smith's Bayou from Lavinia to Spar. So those projects, they were on the capital improvement plan, but as things worked, we just got them done. So that's why one of the reasons we don't really have any projects lined up in the water fund this year. This is from the sewer authority, where Ferrysburg expected to pay to the sewer authority over the year $221,000. But the one item that isn't in that line is the city bonded to do the city lift stations back when these bonds are being released. So that's a direct bill that comes to the city. It doesn't go through the sewer authority. And that's about $90,000 a year, that bond payment. So what we're looking at for the water, ready to serve water check, no change. Sewer, our water rate, no change. The sewer ready to serve charge, we think we can decrease that by $4.30 a quarter. Leaving the sewer rate alone and the cross connection fee, we haven't done anything with that. We're working with Eagle right now to figure out what our next steps on a cross connection, and we'll bring it back to city council. So if we can do that and drop it down $4.30, that'd be about a 1.24% decrease for all customers, or $17.20 a year.
Craig, the cross-connection fee that we're paying for $30,000 for that inspection, is that getting, are we getting revenue for that?
So right now, on everybody's water and sewer bill, there's a $3.98 a quarter for that cross-connection fee that we were gonna use to pay for that
Okay.
program. And that's all I have at this time. Questions, comments, suggestions?
I had read, Craig, until I do a lot of reading, I was reading in the sewer report about clarifiers, that you've got 3 clarifiers, one's torn apart right now, and they're all original. Are we gonna be looking forward to some major expense down the road?
Sewer authority waste treatment plant?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure we're gonna be looking at major expenses. I think the next major expense over the sewer authority is what we're gonna do with the solids. We're trying to come up with a plan that, land is just getting so hard to find, to apply solids, that we're gonna, trying to come up, Ottawa County got together with a group, and we're all trying to come up with a plan that we can all take all our waste to and dry it out and have less waste. Even with the PFAs, some farmers are getting concerned about using their land for land applying solids. But we spent a lot of money at the sewer authority with the 2018 bonds. We did headworks, we did a number of projects over there, force mains, so we're trying to nibble at it a little bit. Yep.
Yes.
Just clarification on the, you're proposing an increase in the water bill by $4 a quarter, but a decrease in the sewer bill? That
Decrease overall of $430. So the sewer ready to service charge, we think we can take that down by $4.30 a quarter and not affect our revenue or bottom line too much. So it'd be $4 or $17.20 less on the water sewer bill.
per year?
Per year, yes.
Okay, on the water bill.
Yep.
I like that. Yes, that's what I've been looking forward for years. I just want to put it out there, with the payroll increase of 4%. I didn't join the fire department to make money. We appreciate the pay, but I would be willing to forego any pay raise at this time, if that were possible. I don't know if that's possible, but I just like to put it out there, and to stay at what I'm currently making as a firefighter. I'm happy, more than happy to serve the public as a firefighter. Again, I don't do it for the money. I do it for the
Fire chief has indicated, we've had that conversation, and he's indicated for the last 2 or 3 years that the firefighters don't do it for money. They do it to help people out. But I feel bad given the firefighters do a lot of work. There's just the amount that they do that no one knows about, not giving them a reward for what they do. I just don't feel right, so that's why I always put a little raise in there, the same that the employees get.
Shortage of firefighters that everyone is having, if they're not motivated by money, what is it that's going to attract more people into that to serve that way?
One of the issues that they have with recruiting firefighters is the time commitment up front. They're talking, to be a firefighter 1 and firefighter 2, you got to go to class twice a week, plus every other Saturday for 9 months to get that firefighter 1 and firefighter 2. For any young person or anybody really, that's a time commitment. And so we're aware of that, and we've had some conversations with the chief on what we can do to, make it easier for people to do that or help them through that, and, offer a stipend or something once they get done with that. We just haven't. That's one of the reasons we want to do this firefighter with the DPW, is just for recruitment. And then, we know that it's going to be a training period for a new employee to come in and learn DPW and the firefighter too. So that's something that is going to take a little bit of time and patience. And that's why we want to start the process now.
Also, I just found out the other night that they're looking at, as an emergency medical technician, I have to, every 3 years, go through continuing ed, and get 30 continuing ed credits. And they're now looking, instead of making it easier to be a firefighter, they're making it harder to be a firefighter. And along with the 30 continuing ed credits, they're looking at me having to do another 36 to continue being a firefighter. So there might be some added costs as we have to go through additional training in the future. So I was gonna bring that out in my report, but this, just a heads up on that. The officers are gonna even have to do more. They're gonna have to go to conferences and all kinds of things to get additional training. So, don't be surprised if there's an increase in the fire department budget. It's not our choice. We fought against it for many years, and the fire chiefs have fought against it. But the state of Michigan says, guess what? You have to do it. So, if you want to maintain the fire department, you got to do what the state tells us to do.
They pay for the material in the class itself. And since they're not a firefighter, there's a call. While they're in class, they get the hourly rate.
They're not compensated for their time while they're in class?
Correct.
How about, like Councilman O'Donnell was saying about continuing education, are they compensated for their time for that? Okay. But not for their time. That may be something that needs to be looked at. We have to value people's time.
Okay, any more questions for Craig at all? Okay, good job, Craig, on the budget. All right, let's move on. 8, public comments. Nobody's here. 9, reports. City manager.
No report?
Okay, council members. Debbie, down at the end. Oh, sweet. Oh, yeah, we're trying to get that worked out, so. Okay. Jerry? Tim?
Okay, sit back, relax, folks.
Oh.
I'll try and make this as brief as possible, but I have had a very busy couple of weeks. Meeting with the Board of Review met. You did get you should have had a report on in your packets on what we talked about. One of the biggest issues that comes before the Board of Review, and we might be able to eliminate that, is we have people coming in and wondering why, when they get that form from the city, they're looking down there and it looks like their taxes increased $1,000 for the year. I would like to recommend that perhaps we were to send out a letter or explanation with that on how the actual tax is calculated. Because we've had a lot of people come in with that concern, and once we show them that it's only increasing $100 or $150 a year, they're going, oh, okay, that makes sense. And we satisfy a lot of people with that, and we were able to do quite a few. I think we didn't have any dissatisfied customers this year. We got everybody taken care of. I attended the second day of the Michigan Municipal League Capital Conference in Lansing. They in the general sessions, they talked a lot about there's lots of funding available, and one of the things that there's all kinds of DNR funding, there's training funding, there's all we just need to, I think there's things that we could tap into to get funding for our city. One of the breakout sessions I attended was electrification of the future, talking about electric cars. There's put on, the speaker was the director of their program to have total electrification by 2050. That's Governor Whitmer's plan at the current time, and the guy that the speaker was very detailed about some things that are going to happen. We had some questions they could not answer. Said, well, we'll look into it, such as having to change some of our building ordinances to allow charging stations, how that would work out. Allowing charging stations in the city. You may go up to Myers in Norton Shores, you see the Tesla charging station there. They're recommending that there is possibility that that could be perhaps a moneymaker for the city if we were to put in a charging station. So let's say, just for example, in Ferry Park at the motor pool parking area. There's some opportunity, a lot of opportunities out there, but I am very leery about some of the things they proposed. They had answers that the director could not come up with, so it's something that I'll be monitoring as long as I can, taking a look at it, and I'll just bring you updates when I hear things. Also, there you can go to the Michigan government website, information on there as well. I got to talk to some vendors. Michigan class. We were talking about budget tonight, and one of the things that we may want to take a look at is Michigan class takes municipalities' money and invests it, and I don't know how all it works, but they invest the money, we keep the gains, and we don't suffer the losses of and it's through a however they do that. I don't know. I don't understand all that stuff, but they said it's they have thousands of clients around the state, and no municipality is too small. This is when I've talked to people in the past, they said, well, Ferrysburg, you're too small. You're not worth the investment. But I would like to see something. Perhaps our bridge fund would be something that we could invest now, and in 20 years, we're going to have that 400,000 in 5 years. That could be substantially grown in 20 years if we were to. The National League of Service is a line warranty program, and I like that we have that cross connect in there, because what they offer is what we were similar to what we were looking at for the cross connect program, but instead of us paying for it and saying, okay, these people, we're going to force you to allow them in their house, it would put it on the residents to be able to engage and request that service at a very minimal fee. It's like $5 a month, and they would do the education, the inspection, the letting the homeowners know what they're responsible for, and also for that fee would have a warranty. It would be a warranty service. So I told them I would present that information. They're more than willing to come in here, talk to us, answer questions, and so perhaps that might be something we might want to take a look at, and that perhaps might help the state in their cross connect inspections. A lot of great information. I got to meet with Senator Victory, and I'd like to put out a shout out to Senator Victory. He was awarded the Legislator of the Year award by the Michigan Municipal League. He doing a lot of stuff for us. Great senator. He is he understands that we want to maintain our individuality. Currently the short-term rental legislation, I believe, has passed the House and is now going before the Senate. I have not had an opportunity to see what that all entails. I'm going to be researching that some more, and I will try and bring you all updates on that, what's going on there. But he does know we oppose it. We want to maintain our independence from Lansing, and he's doing a great work representing us there. There is the revenue sharing. It's 5% or 10% this year. 5% is going to continue on. 5% is one time. There is money in there in the state budget, or in the state system, that perhaps we could tap into to attract talent to the or workers. And I did make a suggestion that perhaps the state could do something like put out make advertisements, or do something that desperately in need of firefighters and EMTs and public safety personnel, but also others around the state. Every business is hurting. So that was one of my suggestions, and he said he would take a look at it. I think for now that will be my. Oh, I apologize. I got a brand new Smarty watch. It was given to me free, and so it keeps dinging. I still don't know how to shut it down. So I apologize for it dinging during the meeting. I'm not trying to do anything improper here. I just don't understand how it works yet. End of report.
Okay, Rich?
I had a couple questions regarding the city manager's most recent report. At our last meeting, we found out that we had to got strong-armed by the state on the stormwater approval. And now I see that we've got city council members are required to take training every 2 years.
Yes.
Is that something new?
No, that city council did it 2 years ago. We have some CDs, and I just passed them out, and you took them home and watched them.
I do not recall that. Is that something we do online, or?
I know you just do it on your own time. There's no test. You just give me a piece of paper. You watch this training on such a date.
Okay. What's a CD?
Oh, DVD. DVD.
How much things have changed. Also, in that same report from the 17th, there was 3 times where we had different meetings, committees and boards, that didn't have quorum. Planning, I understand, or the zoning board of appeals, I know it's because we had people out of town that serve on that board, and so we rescheduled it. But I see the EDC and the KLH board both didn't have quorums. When are we gonna get another report about attendance and that type of thing?
City council has to have that distributed quarterly.
Quarterly?
Yep.
So it'll be at the end of, in April, probably we'll get
Yes.
another report?
Yep.
Okay. Was this primarily because of vacations and things like that, or?
Winter, people are out of town.
Okay.
Going south. KL, I'm not sure what happened on that, Kitchell Lindquist.
Yeah, because that board is full.
There's 6, there's one opening now.
Yeah, okay. Okay, very good, thank you.
Will?
All right, so we passed the park to move forward with that grant. Craig, help me out with the date of the Coast Guard picnic.
July 31st, Sunday.
July 31st, Coast Guard picnic. Hopefully everybody's there. And then Arbor Day is April what, Craig?
29.
April 29. Mayor Blease, you volunteered to read a children's book.
Oh, yes.
So the committee, one of the members of the committee will pick a book for you. They're working with the Loudoun Library to find an appropriate children's age tree book for you.
Okay, keep it clean.
So we will be doing the tree planting on that date. We are planting a sugar maple. Is that correct, Craig?
Sure.
A sugar maple.
Sugar maple.
So it's a good time. Bring your kids out, have a story read by the mayor, plant a tree, and continue the canopy in Ferrysburg. So we're actually, Craig started a map with us. We're working on making that more of a living map on our, eventually on our website, so that you'll be able to see where our annual Arbor Day tree is planted every year, and we hope to someday have that whole map full of dots with trees. So good things coming from the tree board and the rec commission. So
Cool.
that's all I have on the report.
Okay, Bill?
As you noted, the EDTF did not meet. We didn't have a quorum, so no report.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna mention Arbor Day, yep, April 29th, Coast Guard, community picnic, July 31st. What was the other thing? Oh, the mayor's breakfast, yeah, we're working on that, but looks like 4th of July parade will still be going on, so. That's all I have. Move to adjourn. Meeting ended.
We made it.
Whew. Man. Oh, serious.
Some exotic trees.